You ready? Good afternoon and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, September 24th, 2019. I'm John Hutchings, the chair of the board, and to my left is Vice Chair Gary Edwards. To my right is Commissioner Ty Menser. To his right is La Bonita Bomar, the clerk of the board. To her right is Spider-Man and County Manager Birthday Boy Romero Chavez and Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell. With that, I'm going to turn to Commissioner Menser to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That I look for an approval of today's agenda.
I would so move to approve today's agenda.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any changes or all amendments to the agenda?
No, sir.
Nope. All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, that motion carries. And the board meeting minutes from September 17,
And I would
2019.
move to approve the board meeting minutes from September 17th, 2019.
Second?
Been moved and seconded to approve the meeting minutes from September 17th. Any changes?
No, sir.
Nope. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. That takes us to the first thing, which is presentations, and the first one is a proclamation for Civility and Conflict Resolution Month.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you very much. I will ask Mr. Joe Sanders to come to the podium and address the board, please.
So I'm Joe Sanders. I'm the Community Engagement Manager for the Dispute Resolution Center of Thurston County. And first of all, I want to thank the county and the commissioners for the ongoing support over the years for the vital work of the Dispute Resolution Center, and I would say our ongoing challenge to help create a more civil and peaceful community. The Dispute Resolution Center has served our community for nearly 30 years. Began in 1991. Although we're a small organization, we have a phenomenally committed volunteer group of over 140 people who give their time and skills to help us reach our vision, which is a South Sound community that has and uses healthy and respectful conflict resolution skills. And we do that through three core services, which are prevention of conflict, which we address through our training programs. And over 2,000 people in our community have gone through trainings and workshops provided by the DRC just in the last year. We just completed another one on collaborative negotiation, which is a topic of growing interest, and we're doing more work addressing workplace conflict as well. We're probably best known for our mediation programs, which are aimed at resolving conflict, whether it's between members of a family, neighbors, a supervisor and an employee, a tenant and a landlord, basically covering the gamut. And our third core service, which we're particularly excited about, are our growing youth programs, which are bringing these skills to school-age children through elementary, middle school, and high school through outreach and partnerships with the schools. And through all these different programs in the last year, we've served over 5,000 members of our local community through these services. And part of our focus coming up, of course, related to this resolution, October is Community Conflict Resolution Month, and it's an opportunity for us to kind of raise up this work and invite members of the community to become involved and join us as partners, as volunteers, as mediators. So again, I want to thank the county for all their support over the years.
Wow, nice. Thank you, sir. Any comments or questions of Joe?
Thank you, Joe.
Any?
I just want to thank you for saving the county taxpayers money, because everything you do is a benefit to the budget when it comes right down to it, amongst other things. Thank you.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
And I think the extension that you're doing, or expansion into the schools through high school, is a critical expansion. That's a vital piece that hadn't been there for quite some time, forever. When did you start that?
About 3 years ago.
Yeah, you're seeing tremendous success, I would imagine?
We are, in fact, some of the schools that we piloted with, where we actually trained the entire student body in one particular local middle school, saw a change in the vibe, the culture within the school, just as a result of the kids going through this training and learning how to sort out issues without them getting out of hand.
So you're training the trainer in the
That's right.
schools. Oh, that's excellent. Thank you very much, Joe. Now we have a proclamation to read. Don't leave.
Community Conflict Resolution Month. Whereas federal, state, regional, and local governments have an interest in promoting civility, improved communication, and the use of mediation to settle a wide range of disputes. And whereas Thurston County actively promotes the use of their community-based dispute resolution center by citizens through court rules and funding. And whereas anyone in Thurston County has access to their community-based mediation center to resolve conflicts between family members, neighbors, tenants, landlords, merchants, consumers, employees, employers, civic organizations, and government agencies. And whereas mediation is a uniquely effective means of settling disputes, as attested to by the 87% of situations being improved as reported by the participants. And whereas community mediation centers save jurisdictions and taxpayers in Thurston County significant resources in time and money annually, with district and superior court cases that have been settled in mediation rather than in courts. And whereas conflict prevention via training for adults and youth has conflict resolution via the mediation process increases the quality of life and opportunity to experience civic harmony for all residents of Thurston County. And whereas the third Thursday in October has been designated as International Conflict Resolution Day for the past several years, and whereas the month of October has been designated as Community Conflict Resolution Month by the state of Washington. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Thurston County Commissioners hereby proclaims the month of October as Community Conflict Resolution Month. And I just want to add to that. Too bad we didn't have something better in place. You know, Rodney King said, can't we all get along? You know, and you're sure trying to make a difference. And thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. When you're in the center.
I would say our goal is to work ourselves out of business.
Okay, good.
Well, oh, it's right in the center.
Right here.
There you go.
Good for you.
And I forgot to mention, Robin here is one of our dedicated, longtime volunteers
Thank
and a
you,
member of
Robin.
our board.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was clever. How many? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Robin.
Okay,
very
thank
great.
you. Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Good job.
That takes us to number 2 under presentations is from the Auditor's Office, proclamation for National Voter Registration Day. Yay. And we have
Mary
Auditor
Hall.
Mary Hall. Please come on up, Mary. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. So thank you once again. This is the 6th year that we have been celebrating National Voter Registration Day. It's only been in existence for 7 years. And I'm happy to say that Thurston County, both high schools and the colleges, are going full bore in a little competition today. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins the Auditor Cup Challenge, which we have every year, and the winning high school and winning college who bring in the most voter registration forms have a trophy, and that's a traveling trophy. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. You know, and voting is the cornerstone of our democracy, but you can't vote if you're not registered. And I'm proud to say currently in Thurston County, we have over 185,000 registered voters, which is pretty impressive. And I anticipate, or we're hopeful, that by next year presidential election, we'll have about 200,000 registered voters. And voter registration has never been easier. This year, same-day voter registration went into effect, so there are no more deadlines. So if a voter forgets to register, they can come into our office up till 8 o'clock on election night, register and still vote. We're also really encouraging youth to get thinking about voting. This year, 16 and 17-year-olds are allowed to pre-register, so they sign up, and then when they turn 18, they are automatically registered and sent a ballot.
Excuse me. Gentlemen, if you want to take a conversation outside, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Go ahead, Mary.
So, as I mentioned, this is the 6th National Voter Registration Day here in Thurston County, and this week alone, we hope to register about 1,500 new voters. So I really appreciate your efforts and this proclamation helping to bring awareness to the importance of voter registration and voting. And for people in the audience, if you're not registered, it's very simple. You can go online to votewa.gov or stop by my office. And same for people watching remotely, you can register on your phone. So as long as you have a Washington driver's license, we'll use that signature to verify the signature on your ballot envelope. So again, I'd like to thank you again for all the support that you give and the visibility to this effort.
You're very welcome. Questions or comments?
I just want to thank you, Mary, for the hard work you've done in this area. I'm really excited by the changes, and a lot of them are statewide, but I understand you led the charge on a statewide basis with the Auditor Association, so appreciate that because this is an important area, and I'd love to see voter turnout get, 75, 85%, where it really ought to be.
Exactly.
In a healthy democracy. So all of these changes are exciting, and thanks for doing that work.
Thank you. You're welcome. It's my pleasure, my passion, actually.
No, just thank you for keeping our democracy functioning,
You're welcome.
because the vote makes the big difference.
And adding 1,500 registered voters is incredible. And I know you have a passion for this, as well as what you're doing for with cybersecurity as well to protect this, the backbone of democracy.
Great.
So thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, National Voter Registration Day. Whereas registering to vote empowers eligible citizens to exercise their right to vote on Election Day, and whereas Thurston County is committed to strengthening democracy by encouraging voter registration and increasing participation in all elections, and whereas civic-minded people and organizations have collaborated to establish September 24th, 2019 as National Voter Registration Day, and whereas the goal for the 2019 National Voter Registration Day is to create awareness of elections and motivate eligible citizens to vote, and whereas the strength of our democracy depends on the willingness of our citizens to participate by choosing the people who will lead us and by voicing their opinions on important matters that will come before the voters on Election Day. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners hereby recognizes September 24th, 2019 as National Voter Registration Day in Thurston County, and encourages all eligible county residents to register to vote. Adopted the 24th day of September 2019, your Board of County Commissioners.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Do you hang these up? Thank you, Mary. Go ahead.
You should smile because there's going to be federal money coming down for cyber.
Yeah, we'll work on full funding.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neil.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Good. That's the fun part of the meetings. And so is this. This is the agenda item number 1, opportunity for the public to address the board. And here's some guiding principles. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board. So if you're going to address the board, don't expect conversations, questions and answers, discussion. We stop talking, we listen. Please, if you haven't already, please silence your phone or phones. And speakers are limited to 3 minutes to address the board. And La Bonita Bomar, the clerk of the board, has the remote for the timer. It'll count down to 0 and you'll hear a chime. That means your time is up. Meeting attendees cannot donate your speaking time to another person. We reserve the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the meeting for a good cause. No comments that are lewd or offensive to a reasonable person. We ask, especially in conflict resolution day, or month, we don't, that you be respectful. No outbursts of any kind, no comments that are commercial in nature for example, for a for-profit business. No hateful, defamatory, discriminatory, or inflammatory hateful speech. All materials that are provided to the county may be considered public record, subject to public release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 42.56 of the RCW. And remarks about any pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the board on appeal wouldn't be appropriate either. I will read your name and then the next person to come up behind you, so you're ready to go. When you get to the podium, please state your name and where you live in the county, and then you're off and running. So with that, first come up is John Pettit, followed by Jan Tivetan. Thank you, Joe.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm always happy to hear people talk about engaging the methods of democracy and letting the people's voice be heard. Which brings me to something, yesterday I experienced something I'd never done. It was because I went and watched some citizens get, through the ceremony, they became citizens, which included my wife, which, although Mary's not here now, she'll be registering to vote today. So we have a brand new citizen here in Thurston County. But that also brings me to a little short topic about something I was listening to earlier in the agenda setting meeting, consideration of doing some meeting changes to your meeting provisions. And one of the things which I thought might be really beneficial for the level of democracy to be spoken is that the meetings be presented at a time that the people are actually available to come. I've talked many times about extending it beyond 3 minutes because it's too short for someone to express a full level of anything. But if the meetings, and it's surprising, the City of Olympia, they have 50,000 plus people. They put their meetings at 7 o'clock at night. City of Lacey, they have 50,000 people. They have their meetings at 7 o'clock at night. City of Tumwater, I think they do it at 6:30 or 7 at night. So all the major populous areas, municipalities, what do? They make their meetings at times that are available for the public to get to. So what does that say about you guys? You can do it. We know you can work the schedules out with employees because they can all do it. You can do it. I'm going to make a suggestion. You move the meeting time, regular meeting time and location to either this room or the one downstairs, and you make it for probably 6:30 in the evening every Tuesday night. Every Tuesday night is regular meeting time. So I appreciated that particular one. Okay, I think a little revision with that and you'll have my complete happiness on that topic. I was also glad to see that you're anticipating some adjustments, changes, and review of the courthouse issue. Doesn't mean I'm going to support a new courthouse, but I'm glad to see that we're going to approach it. We're going to do it all within the boundaries and make it correct for how we do it. A couple little things I thought, there's no real reason why, if we know it's going to take about 47 cents per $1,000 of assessed value, there's no real reason why not to initially start it out and place it at 169 or 172 or 179 if that's the number you want to put on it, and you can always reduce it later, okay? But the idea of not actually having that into the material at this point, it's kind of like putting off an inevitable, we want a tax increase, but we don't want to tell you what it is yet until the last minute. So I'm going to make that suggestion as another possibility to consider. And just like that, 3 minutes is up. Not enough time. Thank you.
Mr. Tivetan, followed by Hal Boschler.
Commissioners, my name is Jan Tvetten. I live in Rochester. I lived there for 50 years. I had the privilege to listen this morning to your discussions and the agenda setting, and I caught onto the property tax issue. And I thought I have some information that might be of interest to you. About 4 years ago, I got $1,840 check from the county treasurer. And I wonder what the heck is that about? But I wasn't about to argue. So I came in and met with the assessor staff, and I learned that 10 years ago, the county had, by mistake, added 1,000 square feet to my house. So I had overpaid on property tax, and that was the result for the check. Now, I asked, is that all I paid over? And they said, no, we are limited to reimbursing you for 3 years. And I says, well, that's not fair. And the county assessor says, well, I agree with you, Jan. And I said, then you shouldn't have any trouble if I go to the legislature and convince them to adopt a law that says that you can do more. And he says, fine with me. I did. And Senate Bill 5276 passed in 2015. There was another guy in King County that had similar problems. So we together just about stayed up there night and day and went from office to office, and the bill finally passed. Now, in my case, it was about $6,800, I think we estimated that I had paid in, and I got $1,840 back. When the law passed, though, the law specifically gave the commissioners the ability to set the number of years. So you can set the years. However, the only one that has testified against this law is the Washington Association of County Officials, WACO. Their name is very appropriate. After the legislature passed, they automatically took it upon themselves. I don't know that anyone appointed them to come up with a recommendation to the counties. And I tried to attend their meeting and be part of it. And they said, no, we are not a public agency, so we don't have to have open public meetings. So they had their meetings and decided six years was the maximum that reimbursement could be given. And that is, a pittance to what some people are up against. The worst example in Thurston County was one man that had paid wrong over the amount, overdue taxes, since 1964. He got 3 years back. Now, why did that happen? It happened because he gave his building plans to the county, and it included a full basement. When they constructed it, they didn't do as-built drawings. So he has paid on that basement for 60 or 59 years, but he got 3 years back. This is the problem, this is the history, this is what we're struggling with. I got 6 years back out of 10, so be it.
And thank you, sir.
Yes, that's the information I gave you.
Yes, thank you.
Some of the background information.
Hal Boschler, or Boschler, if I pronounced it properly, and then followed by Terry Ballard.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Hal Boxler, and my wife and I are recent residents of Tenino. I'm here today because Millersvania State Park and my neighborhood are seriously threatened by a proposed industrial hub down by Rocky Prairie near the park. You, Commissioners, have the park and our fates in your hand. Therefore, I would like to let you know my concerns. Our property is 3/4 of a mile as a crow flies from the Port of Tacoma property, and there's no developed properties or structures between our property and the Port of Tacoma area that's we're speaking of. My wife and I moved to our new property 4 months ago because it was a quiet, serene, rural area in which we could live out our retirement. We retired and moved to this location because we like the peace and tranquility of the area, especially early mornings, and when the traffic is also very light. It's also very close to Miller's State Park. This is our retirement home. We plan to live here the rest of our lives. We found out about the Port of Tacoma's effort to rezone the property shortly after moving to our new property. We are very concerned that if this site is rezoned industrial, we will lose our peace and tranquility that we sought, the very reasons we purchased the property. We are also concerned about the new site owner, what they will bring to the rural character of the area. The large increase in traffic, broadcasting, light 24/7, constant noise. Noise travels far early mornings and also across the prairie. Likewise, we're concerned about the well we share and the impact the industrial complex will have on the quality and availability of the water. In addition, we're concerned about the amount of traffic the potential thousands of trucks per week will have on our local roads. Truck drivers are incentivized to go as fast as they can and take the shortest routes to their destinations, regardless of what planners have planned and marketers have pitched. Lastly, we're concerned about how this industrialized site will affect the quality of the Miller's State Park, one of our golden nuggets in the county and the state for that matter. My wife and I ask your support and corresponding vote to keep the Port of Tacoma property at Rocky Prairie zoned as residential. Allowing it to be zoned industrial will have so many negative impacts on the communities and especially the surrounding neighbors. What is being proposed is our worst nightmare. It creates a living environment that is just the opposite of why we moved here in the first place. We say no to a rezoning that would destroy the rural property, the character of the area, and the reason we moved here. We say no to allowing a large industrial complex to come in and cause traffic congestion, road degradation, noise, and light disturbances. Our short-term jobs and some property tax revenue worth destroying the rural quality of Thurston County. We say no. I trust that you will vote according to the needs and desires of the county. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, sir. And Terry.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Terry Ballard. I'm a resident of Tanglewild, unincorporated Thurston County. I'm a 35-year veteran, born in Washington State, but I was of a military family, so I currently moved. I was just wondering if your campaign notices were actually true, because I like truth in government. I really do. Okay? Since 2012, retiring from the military, I've been into an environment, okay? I followed my septic tank fictional fee into a stormwater system that cut off the contamination into Woodland Creek, okay? This ordinance, which was actually, there was no overlap of the ordinance. There was a couple months in between when one was ended and one was started. They're supposed to pick and choose people's areas and charge them a $40 fee per year, okay? They're not picking and choosing. They're using the cash cow of Tanglewild. It continues to be on the list, and it continues to provide no contamination whatsoever from its septic tanks. None. None. We have 3 wells in the park. Where's the contamination? None. It's continued to use. But I have another thing. We'll get these finances back in the black, create a fair and balance between conservation and property rights, and save you time and money by solving the gopher habitat issue. Huh? Guess whose campaign notice this was? All right? Getting tired of being lied to. I voted for the man. I campaigned for the man. Guess what? I was lied to. The next is this ordinance. that was illegally approved on two illegal meetings, and misappropriation of funds, disbursement of funds. I am fed up with all this stuff, okay? All those meetings that happened and gave a disbursement of funds are frauds. The very document is a fraud. It was signed by a person representing the county prosecutor's office that is afforded to gain $100,000 off of this. And he was assigned to the duty, sworn into the duty, after he signed this document. It's a fraud, but we don't care about that. They're not authorized, they don't have to have a signature on there, a fraudulent signature. Okay, we just go ahead and we'll eliminate that problem because there is no fraud, but there is. I wish you would follow the law. I have 2 county commissioners that uphold the law and can't define the law, and I got another one that practice law that can't follow it as well. I'm tired of being lied to. You need to do just. Quick. Leadership, loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and the personal courage to do what is right. Those are the values that I grew up on. Those are the values in the Army. I wish you would follow those values. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. That exhausts the list of folks that have signed up. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the board that hasn't spoken yet? Because you can have an opportunity to address the board now if you'd like. No. There we go. All right, moving right along here to the county manager's update, agenda item number 2.
Thank you, Commissioners. I just have one item for you, and this is a follow-up to the public testimony you received in 2 board meetings, one from Ms. Dory Miller on September 10, 2019, and the other one from Ms. Cindy Clausen on September 17, 2019. Both comments were related to the Faith Harvest Helpers. This is a property located in 12539 Case Road, Southwest. Particularly related to the ongoing violations, code violations. This property is underway. And some of the public testimony, I don't want to repeat that, but it was what the county, and just what the county is planning to do or doing related to this particular property. This is a long history that we've had with this property, and let me just walk you through briefly the chronology related to the code violations on this property. Let me begin, but in October 2016, we received a complaint by the citizen related to this property, some illegal activities related to code violations. October 11, 2016, our compliance staff from CPED, Public Health Social Services in NORCA, the Olympic Regional Cleaner Agency, investigated violations, and at that point, they didn't find any violations that were determined, and that was on October 24th. December 2016, December 14, 2016, the county received applications to construct 2 pole buildings, just about 2,000 square feet each, and the permit was issued on August 27, 2018. On April 13, 2017, after the fact applications for the 3-bay garage built without a permit, that was an evidence. Then it was not an approved use, so it required to have a reasonable use exception required since the original permit expired. So that moved us into September 11th, 2017. We received yet another application to replace the existing manufactured home on the site. The permit was issued on June 22nd, 2018 for that piece of their permit. On November 17, 2017, application for a second manufactured home was received. That permit was denied, because now moving to the reasonable use exception permit they need to have in that property. On November 15, 2017, we received another set of complaints from citizens. November 15, 2017, compliance group investigated the allegations of leaving and recreational vehicles, construction without a permit, clearing and grading. On November 16, 2017, after the fact application for carpool was received, and again, we didn't approve that permit because it required the reasonable use exception permit, which that particular permit needs to be issued and heard by the hearing examiners. On January 9, 2018, we received an application for a reasonable use exception for the RV, the recreational vehicles cover, the second manufactured home, and the garage, all the elements that were looking in previous permits. On August 27, 2018, this particular reasonable use exception permit was scheduled to be heard by the hearing examiners, and that was August 27, 2019. That was postponed at the request of the applicant. So that particular hearing is still pending. On August 28, 2018, we received another series of complaints, and this is on the heels of what public testimony received. That is an ongoing compliance investigation. We still have to determine whether any additional activities have occurred on this property. And what are the next steps that we have available to us? And again, the last complaint, we're continuing to investigate. We'll have a result of that investigation here in the next 2 weeks. We will issue a notice of violation for any structures beyond the scope of the permit that apply, and that will be enforced. If evidence of any further activity beyond the scope of the permit, we will issue notice of violation, which is stop work order permit will be issued on the property. If all that continues to be an issue, according to the county code, we can probably issue a stop work order, increase into a civil infraction, and perhaps move into civil penalties, maybe pursued if that is the next steps. I just want to give that chronology in answering the comments that you've received from your citizens. Any questions?
Do you have any comments or questions?
It sounds like from that chronology that these folks tend to engage in an activity or a building project, and then once they're kind of called to task, then they ask for a reasonable use exception after the fact. Is that
That is
accurate?
correct.
And that's
That
happened
is
multiple
correct.
times over.
That is correct.
And typically, you'd anticipate somebody asking for permission or a reasonable use exception before they engaged in the activity that's contrary to code.
Ideal, that will be it. Any citizens who wants to improve their property, they need to secure the proper permits prior to any activities to begin. And when the activities begin without a permit, that's where we put themselves in the compliance enforcement category the county has.
Yeah, I just want to point out we're on multiple rounds of it. Not only did it occur backwards, but it occurred backwards over and over and now over.
Yep.
So I think that's the frustration we heard from the citizens, and hopefully we can get it sorted through.
Commissioner?
When we're applying these different laws, including some of the ordinances that the county has adopted, aren't we following the Growth Management Act of 1992, I think it was enacted? Is that kind of the guiding legislation, if you will, that helps us through this?
Yeah, all the code compliance, all the code requirements related to the land use are aligned to GMA that was passed by
GMA is the Growth Management Act.
The Growth Management Act, that is correct. So,
over on Kaiser Road, we had a case that we recently finished, I'm going to say within about a year ago, and that case went for 20 years, if I remember right, following this whole process before we finally got it adjudicated. I'm not proud of that. I'm just stating a fact that the legislature did enact legislation in 1992 the Washington Growth Management Act. We try to follow it. And if you're willing to continue to file appeals and take things to court and incur costs that also are incurred by the taxpayers, this thing seemingly gets drawn out forever. Eventually we win. But I would just ask those citizens that are upset about this to let them know we're working within the guidelines as laid out with the law, and that's a bureaucratic process that is not very effective. But it is what it is, and we try to do the best we can, and I know staff is working on it. So it's frustrating. Thank you.
And I might add, there's water and septic issues with this property. And when the state charges the county with the number of wells, the quantity of water, the quality of water, that's a major issue that we need to get our hands around, as well as septic issues, because it's right adjacent to a wetland. And so any septic issues would be high on my radar as to what they're doing or not doing, and that what they are doing has the capacity to handle septic waste and such. So I'm fully supportive of what we're doing to get our hands around this issue, especially in light of the neighbors.
Yeah, and we will continue to keep you up to date on the next steps. And if at some point we need the assistance from the board in any particular action, we'll certainly engage the board when the time comes.
Thank you.
I just want to say as final point, and I don't know that I'm contradicting Commissioner Edwards, maybe just adding to what he said, but our compliance framework is not dictated by Growth Management Act. We have local code that lays out the steps. I remember we reviewed that earlier this year, and there were some revisions made last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
to how we proceed in these cases.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Is that Title 26?
Correct.
Yeah, that was revised last year by the board. And as answering the Commissioner Edwards' question, all the codes that we have in place are aligned to GMA. But you're right, within the context of the county code, there is flexibility as to how the board would like to exercise any particular steps within the code.
Anything more?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. That takes us to agenda item number 3, which we call consent items, and it's A, B, and C. And just let the public know, even though we just breezed through this in one motion, that each of these items are brought up and discussed when we do the pre-agenda work and setting. And so we've chatted about each of these things, even though it looks like we're just sweeping them in. So consent items A through C.
Yes, I would move for approval of consent items A through C.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve consent items A through C. Any further discussion on any of those?
No, sir.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Done, thank you. Now we're moving into department items, and number 4 is Community Planning and Economic Development, authorizing the director to execute an interagency agreement with the TCD, Thurston Conservation District. Amber.
Good afternoon. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm Amber
drop
Cerny.
your
Down, there you go. Thank
I'm
you,
an
Amber.
associate planner with Community Planning and Economic Development. I'm here to request authorization from you guys for the Director of Community Planning and Economic Development to execute an interagency agreement with Thurston Conservation District to complete a scope of work through February 27th, 2021 in the amount of $36,875, and to sign any future amendments that extend the agreement up to 1 year and that does not revise the total dollar amount more than 10%. Last year, September of last year, we accepted a grant through the Federal National Estuary Program to create a program of incentives to encourage voluntary restoration for streamside landowners. We have a variety of past projects that have shown that this is the most efficient and way to create water quality improvements. This interagency agreement with the Conservation District covers a scope of work that will provide outreach and technical assistance and develop a strategy to encourage streamside landowners to initiate restoration project. This project is funded completely by Department of Ecology grant funds and has already been reviewed by the prosecuting attorney.
Beautiful. Questions or comments?
No, sounds like a good program, and we went over it this morning and last week.
Yep.
And I guess each one of these issues that is handled by the Conservation District is beneficial to water quality, isn't that right? And that's kind of what the push is here, is water quality. Okay, I'm good with it. Thank you, Amber.
Thank you, Amber, very much.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead. Motion?
I would move to authorize the Director of Community Planning and Economic Development to execute an interagency agreement with Thurston Conservation District to complete a scope of work through February 27th, 2021 in the amount of $36,875 and to sign any future amendments extending the agreement up to 1 year and revising the total dollar amount by no more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Nope. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Agenda item number 5 is Public Works, and it's an appointment of members to the Noxious Weed Control Board positions. Tim Wilson.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tim Wilson, Water Resources Manager, Public Works. The Thurston County Noxious Weed Control Board is comprised of 5 geographic areas, each represented by citizens appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. On October 31st, 2019, the current 4-year terms for districts number 1, number 2, and number 3 of the Thurston County Noxious Weed Control Board will expire. RCW 1710 is a statute that guides the noxious weed boards and the advertising and recruitment for those positions. And per RCW 1710, the weed board published a public notice calling for interested individuals to apply for the open positions. The call for applications was posted in the Olympian on July 28th and August 4th, 2019. Applications for appointment, including the signatures of at least 10 registered voters residing in the district, were received by the deadline of August 21st. No additional applications for the weed board were received. A public hearing to review applications for recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners was held by the weed board on August 26, 2019. The Noxious Weed Control Board and staff is recommending that the Board of County Commissioners move to appoint the nominees for the open weed board positions, and they are as follows. The District 1 position is Carol Pining, the District 2 position is David Mills, and the District 3 position is Paul Thompson. The 4-year terms would begin November 1st, 2019 and expire on October 31st, 2023.
Okay, questions, comments for Tim?
No, I reviewed the applications, which didn't come to us in the normal course, but we requested those and I went through it. Everything seemed appropriate. I happen to recognize at least one of the signers from each person's recommendation list, so that was additional confirmation that we have good candidates here, so I'm ready to move forward.
No, sir. I'm ready to go.
As am I. And thank you for the reference to 1710 of the RCW.
Very good, thank you.
I would move to appoint the following county residents to the Thurston County Noxious Weed Control Board. Number 1 position is Carol Pining, District 1, representing the northwest portion of Thurston County. The number 2 position is David Mills, representing the southwest portion of Thurston County. Number 3 is Paul Thompson, representing the northeast corner of Thurston County.
In District number 3.
In District number 3.
Second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded for the appointments to the Noxious Weed Control Board positions. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank
Tim.
you.
Now we turn to agenda item number 6, to the county manager. This is all of us now. So we'll mention the things that we've done in the last week and then turn it over to the county manager. Go ahead, Commissioner Menser.
Okay, I typically just lay out things that I've done beyond my typical assigned boards and community events that I attended. Starting Tuesday, I was at the State of Hope presentation, Thurston Hope, I think it's called, where John Thunheim, our prosecutor, sort of moderated with one of the professors that did some analysis of the data and gave us an overview of that work and what they might hope to do next. Attended the chamber meeting in Tenino. Wednesday, we all attended the memorial wall, war memorial wall in Tenino, ribbon cutting. I also got to take a tour of the More Right. It's a new, since April, this is a community service organization that essentially contracts to get goods that are like from Walmart, Amazon, places like that, things that were returned, things that can't be sold for whatever reason, and then try to strike agreements with local nonprofits to distribute those goods to folks that need it. They are taking in much more in merchandise than they can house right now, where they're over at Mottman, and so they're looking for a partner for warehouse space. And it's kind of critical that they're able to secure something in the next month. So if you know of anybody that might want to work with them on a short-term basis to house this merchandise, they're working on a model that's going to stabilize funding for them, but they're just getting off the ground. So it seems like a very promising enterprise. Attended the STEADY, that's a South Thurston Economic Development Initiative meeting in Yelm on Friday. Attended the Global Climate Strike at the Capitol, which is very inspiring. A lot of young people calling for us to take strong action on climate issues. And I wanted to also highlight that at the Intercity Transit meeting on Wednesday night, we had a presentation from the state on Initiative 976, which is an effort to repeal or remove authority to impose certain vehicle taxes and fees, including charges funding mass transit or regional transportation. This is known popularly as Tim Eyman's Car Tab initiative. If it passes, it will mean over a 6-year period, $2 billion lost to the state, $2.3 billion to local governments. It will affect our state patrol and our public safety. It'll decimate our rural transit program in all the rural parts of Thurston County, which relies on that program. You can pretty much assure that will be gone, as well as a whole range of other transportation initiatives that Intercity Transit's involved in, such as its van pool, commute trip reduction plan programs, and then the $96.6 million out of the regional mobility grant. So of this very large, what they call a multimodal account, it'll be cut by 70%. That'll leave all the programs that are funded by it scrambling for that last 30%, and that includes most of the state patrol's funding. If the state patrol were to be funded with that extra 30%, then we would basically, everything else would be cut. So this will decimate our local governments. From my perspective, I'd just like citizens to be aware. Please read this carefully and look for the facts on how it'll affect us here in Thurston County when you decide to vote, which is November 5th.
Thank you. Commissioner Edwards?
Besides my normal scheduled activities that the county manager lays out for us, Deschutes watershed and the Capitol Lake cleanup process was a big chunk of my week. Solid waste, including biosolids, and Nisqually River Council activities, but I would say the majority of it was on environmental issues this last week. Solids, waters. We didn't cover clean air this time around, but I don't know anybody that doesn't want clean air as well. So that's good enough for me.
I attended a meet and greet for the American Public Works Association team that came in at the county from out of state to do public works reaccreditation. That was very interesting. That's important work, being accredited and continuing on from being accredited. As Commissioner Menser stated, all three of us were at the Tenino Veteran War Memorial ribbon cutting last week, and it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of art, let alone memorial. And then attended in Ellensburg on Friday, the WASAC, which is the Washington State Association of Counties. It was their board meeting and legislative steering committee. Very fascinating, and when you're talking about Initiative 976, very scary for county government and the condition of our roads, et cetera. And that was the extent of it. Everything else was already my business week. County Manager?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. Let me walk you through your combined schedule for the upcoming week. These were appointments will be with at least 2 commissioners will be present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars. Those will not be part of my report. Starting today at 5:30 in the afternoon, you have a public hearing where you will be receiving public testimony related to implemented rates and charges for the Thurston Conservation District. Moving on to Wednesday, September 25th, at 7:30, you have been invited to participate in the Together Breakfast of Champions that will be located in the Hotel RL at 2300 Evergreen Parkway Drive, Southeast Olympia.
What day was that? Thursday?
Tomorrow
No,
morning.
it's tomorrow, Wednesday, at 7:30. Tomorrow,
Where?
that is located at the Hotel RL.
Okay, thank you.
What's
7:30.
the address?
That will be 2300 Evergreen Parkway, Southwest Olympia. 98502. Washington. Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, you have a briefing from the tourism promotion area that will be they will be presenting the 2020 budget. 9:30 in the morning tomorrow, September 25th, you have a briefing from HR related to the county health care benefits for the upcoming year. At 10 in the morning, you have a presentation by the Sheriff's Office entitled "A Day Without a Deputy." And at 2 in the afternoon, tomorrow, Wednesday, September 25th, you have a briefing related to the Marvin Road transportation improvements. And those improvements are related to the concurrency issues that we have along Marvin Road. Moving on to Thursday, September 26th. At 11, you have the an invitation to participate on the annual Thurston Economic Development Council Real Estate Forum. All of you have been registered, and that event is going to be located at Hotel RL here in Olympia.
I won't be able to attend that if you bought a ticket or registered.
Yeah, let me know so we can find somebody.
I'm in Salmon and Curry Council all day.
Okay, to go on your behalf, because we did buy all the tickets.
Okay, I
Yeah.
can check with my sister.
Thank you.
Yep.
Friday, September 27th, you have a day-long planning session that will begin at 9 in the morning, and I'm expecting that you will finish about 4:30 in the afternoon. It will include a working lunch. It's a very beefy agenda that we have for you, so roll up your sleeves for a great conversation to occur on Friday. This will be located at the Tilly campus at Public Works, which is located along Tilly Road, just south of Old Highway 99. Saturday, September 28th, at 10 in the morning, you have been invited to participate or stop by to the Emergency Preparedness Exposition that will be located at the Peter G. Smith Elementary School at 237 Dennis Street in Tumwater. Nothing on your combined schedule on Monday, September 30th, and you'll come back here on Tuesday, October 1st, at 9 in the morning, where you'll be reviewing the agenda for that day's board meeting. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you. With that, is there anything for the good of the order? No?
Well, there's a lot of things we could go over for the good of the order, but I guess not right now.
All right.
We'll get it
then,
on the agenda.
The County Commissioners Board meeting for September 24th, 2019 is adjourned.